Welcome back to the Hockey Hotbed, presented as always by the Hockey Podcast Network. I want to talk in this segment about two restricted free agents or former restricted free agents that they got a big payday. And good for them. Listen, I am all for these players that have earned it to get their paydays. But once you get your payday, you still have to perform. And these two players have not. They're both in the Western Conference. One is in the Pacific Division, one is in the Central Division. And I'm going to start off in Vancouver with Elias Pettersson. He just signed in the offseason, actually in training camp. He did partially hold out. He signed a 3-year deal worth $7.35 million. Now, if you sign a deal like that, you're expected to produce probably somewhere around 50 to 60 points in a season. And a guy like Pettersson, who is a trigger man, who's a guy with one of the better shots in the National Hockey League, you're expected to score 20 to 25 to hopefully 30 goals. That's what Jim Benning is hoping for up in Vancouver. And that's basically a minimum what I'm talking about. Now, he has not done that. He is not on pace for any of that. He is not playing well. He's not scoring. He's not anything. Vancouver themselves, after a bad year last year, is once again a good team on paper that is not performing on the ice. They're in dead last in the Pacific Division as of November 1st. Not a good start to the season for him or for the team. Now, Pettersson himself, he is coming off of an injury-riddled season. He only played 26 of the 56 games last season. Didn't produce too well in those games. I believe he had 10 goals last year. But that's better than what he's shown so far this year. 9 games. The guy has 1 goal and 4 points. Now, that's pretty bad in its own right, but when you look at the fact that of those 5 points, only one of them has come at 5-on-5, it is not good enough. It's great when he can sit on the wing or on the wall on the power play and facilitate or in snipe. But he's only had 1 goal. That was on the power play. At 5-on-5, he's produced 1 assist. That's it. 1 assist for a guy that you just signed to a $7+ million deal. That is not good enough from Pettersson. And if you're the Canucks, you got to sit there in the salary cap hell that you're in. You just signed him. You just signed Hughes. Hughes is at least performing a little bit better. And you look at this team that should be good. They should be definitely better than last in the Pacific Division. But you look at this team on paper, and it's just baffling at the way they have played the game. The way that they've played thus far into the season. And then you look at Pettersson, and you look at the way that he has played, and you look at the numbers, and you wonder what is in the water up there in BC that is not allowing these guys to produce at the level that they are supposed to, or the level at least that you would expect. I don't want to say supposed to, but this team has been a disappointment the last couple of years. It's as easy as that. And Elias Pettersson has been paramount in that discussion. Obviously, last year, yeah, he dealt with injuries, but he was not good when he played. The team as a whole, dealing with COVID issues, dealing with injury issues, they had a bad year last year. You could give excuses like the injuries, like the COVID issues. But this year, it was supposed to be a fresh start. This team was supposed to get better again. Yet their star player that they just signed that partially held out on the team has 1 5-on-5 point. And it's not even a goal. Your trigger man has 1 goal in 9 games. I'm not great at shorthand math, but I'm pretty sure that's averaging in a full 82 game season like 10 goals. If Elias Pettersson finishes with 10 goals on the year, heads are going to roll in Vancouver. It's already tough enough to play in a Canadian market, but underperforming right after signing a contract, that's not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. It's not a good start for him. So that's one of the two RFAs I wanted to mention. I want to see a lot more from Elias Pettersson. It's not been a good start. But the other RFA got signed for longer term, got signed for more money, yet he did have a smaller sample size. If you're from Minnesota, you know I'm talking about Kirill Kaprizov. He was one of the headlines of the offseason. Bill Guerin versus Kirill Kaprizov. Who's going to win this showdown? The epic battle between the guy that just won the Calder Trophy versus the general manager that has been turning around a franchise that has been in mediocrity basically since its existence. Kirill Kaprizov made the Minnesota Wild exciting to watch again last year. Now, it helped that the rest of the team was getting better as well. But he was the face of it. He is the face of the franchise. And that's why, at the end of the day, Bill Guerin signed him to a 5-year deal worth $9 million against the cap every single year. I checked in on Minnesota Wild Twitter the last time they had a game. It was not a pretty sight. Kirill the Thrill has 0 goals on the year, 6 assists. So, in all fairness, he's scored more than Elias Pettersson. He has more than 1 point at 5-on-5 than Elias Pettersson. He has 4 assists. But in total, 6 assists in 8 games played. Again, not gonna be enough. Minnesota this season, they got off to a hot start. They were 5-1-0. Since then, of course, they've lost 2 back-to-back games in regulation. So they're 5-3. So at least the Minnesota Wild are winning hockey games. The Canucks are not winning hockey games very much. They're in dead last in their division. Minnesota currently, as of this recording, is in 3rd place in the Central. Like I mentioned in the first segment, the Central also has 2 teams that haven't won a game, but still, you need to be in the top 3 to make the postseason, and after 1 month, Minnesota is in the top 3. That's where you want to be, especially in the first couple months of the season. Just stay afloat. But if they're going to stay afloat, they need Kirill Kaprizov to, I don't know, score a goal at some point. I know it's from my lips to Minnesota fans' ears. They want to see Kirill Kaprizov put the puck in the back of the net like he did last season. He was great last year. There's a reason he was the Calder Trophy winner, and not even the fact that it was even a close race. He was by far the guy. I'm trying to bring his numbers up real quick because I didn't have them ready. But he was easily the best rookie in the NHL last year. And not only that, he was one of the best players in the NHL last year. He finished the season with 27 goals and 51 points in 56 games played, 55 games played. Almost a 30 goal scorer in 55 games. The guy hasn't lit the lamp once in his first 8 this year. Underperforming is definitely a word to describe it. I'm sure Minnesota fans have a couple other words to describe it. But Kirill Kaprizov, you need him to do more. At least in Vancouver, they have a guy like Bo Horvat. They have a guy like Quinn Hughes on the back end. They have guys like JT Miller, Brock Besser that are going to score goals that are able to take on that mantle as the face of the franchise. Minnesota Wild, yeah, they have, Joel Eriksson's a good player. Yeah, they have a guy like Kevin Fiala. He's a really good player. He's a talented hockey player. They have a good team in Minnesota, but the face of that team has been a dud through 8 games this year. 6 assists is not bad. If he had 4 goals and 6 assists, this wouldn't even be a conversation. It's the fact that he had 27 goals in 55 games last year, and he has yet to light the lamp. I mean, it goes to show you how good Minnesota is as a team entirely, that they're 5-3 with their best player not scoring a single goal. But you need more from him. So I have 2 questions to end off this segment. First and foremost, which player would you rather be on the hook for? I asked this on my Twitter page at Hockey Hotbed Pod. It is still live on my Twitter page. So go check that out and go cast your vote. I'd rather be on the hook for Kirill Kaprizov. I get that it's longer. I get that it's more money. I get that he is older than Elias Pettersson. I think the ceiling for Kaprizov is higher. I think a guy in his stature, he is the face of your franchise, and he proved last year that he can be. Was it one good season? Listen, we don't have that answer, but we know that answer. Kirill Kaprizov is going to turn it around. The reason that, to me, it's more shocking that he's had a bad start to the season is because, one, he didn't come off an injury like Pettersson did, and two, because of how good he actually is. Because of how much the Minnesota Wild wanted to bring him back. Because of how big of a storyline it was all off season long that Kirill Kaprizov might be holding out. He might be going back to Russia. He might have been a one and done in the NHL. Realistically, that wasn't going to happen. But would I rather be on the hook for Kirill Kaprizov right now? Yes, I would. I would not want to be on the hook for Elias Pettersson, even though it's only 3 years, even though it's only $7 million. Because you look at the Minnesota Wild, the way that they're built, the division they're in, the place that they're in, they're built to win hockey games. The Vancouver Canucks, you would think they're built to win hockey games, but they just haven't been. It could be back-to-back really disappointing seasons in Vancouver. I really hope that's not the case. But as of right now, it's looking like it. And the other question I had is which player's improvement is more integral, and it is Kirill Kaprizov. Listen, Pettersson has been bad, and that team has been bad. If Pettersson gets better, that team gets better. But if Kaprizov keeps this up, I'm not sure how long Minnesota can continue to be a top team in the Central Division. So far, so good. So far, he hasn't done anything. They're 5-3-0. But if he is not able to turn it around, I don't see a way in which this team contends at all in that division. It's not the strongest of divisions. Again, 2 teams without a win. But it's a division that if he ends up with 12 goals on the season, which will be a massive disappointment for Minnesota fans and for hockey fans alike, if he only finishes with 12 goals on the season and is not at a ridiculous number of assists, then it's probably not going to be enough for the Minnesota Wild. They might make the playoffs. They might. But they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. Last year, at least they took Vegas to 7 games, and they could have very easily won that series. No such luck if Kirill Kaprizov is not performing this year. So, which player would I rather be on the hook for? Kirill Kaprizov. Which player is more integral to their team? Kirill Kaprizov. Not to say that Elias Pettersson getting better is not important, but again, I side with the Russian. I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, Power Rankings 2.0, the November edition of the Hockey Hotbed Power Rankings. I'll be right back.